Hi, it's Matthew Dixon of mindaid.ca, and one of the things that I want to tell people about with my experience with schizophrenia is in the book The Survivor Personality by Al Siebert. They talk about how people who get through horrible things, they who survive things like people who got through the Holocaust, through natural disasters, through cancer, uh, car injury, car accidents. They say that people who got through it and survived and got through, one of the things that the mentality that they had was they said that was one of the worst things that I never want to go through that again ever. It was horrible. But at the same time, now that I've come through the other side and I've learned from it and grown from it, that was the best thing that could ever have happened to me. And I read that that those lines in that book maybe 10 years or so ago. And with me, I've been recovering for 26 years with schizophrenia. I've noticed an improvement in my health every single week for the last 26 years, since 1994 when I first went to get help. And that line in that book, I'm like, okay, that's where I need to get, where I can say schizophrenia was the best thing that ever happened to me. And even though it was horrible and I never want to go through it again, it was the best thing that could ever have happened to me. And I've known that I should be able to get to that point, and it's been a struggle because when you're suffering, when you're in that state of not being where you want to be, of not feeling good, and not being able to totally enjoy the day, not to enjoy the moment, not to enjoy, a glass of lemonade on a nice hot summer day, instead of always having to push through it and tolerate those feelings and being miserable really. I I've found peace and contentment in my life. In the last 2 years, I'd say I started to actually get some feelings of peace and contentment. And like I said, I've improved every single week for the last 26 years. But the last 2 years, I started to have some peace and contentment, and those were golden to me. And over the last 2 years, those feelings of peace and contentment have come on more often and more frequently and for longer durations. And I'm at the point now, like, wow, like I can just sit here, and it's like I can feel time going by. It just, like watching a river slowly meandering its way through the landscape. It's just slowly going along instead of this tsunami, this tornado like wave coming at you, just a maelstrom of chaos, and that's the way I felt for years. It felt like I was being chased by a heat-seeking tornado, and the just being bombarded by stimuli, and yeah, to be able to sit here and be in peace, that's what I've been fighting for. I've been fighting for this for years, and I'm enjoying my life. I can enjoy just a nice, I can feel time going by, just slowly by, instead of each second kind of jarring and jarring and jarring and what's going on. I can just sit here and like enjoy my life from moment to moment. To me, that's priceless. How much money can you put on that? So this is where I've got to get to the point where where I am now. I'm looking back and reflecting on things. I'm thinking about things in my life that I haven't thought of, things that happened 20 years ago, 15 years ago. I'm like, oh, okay, okay, I get it. That's what happened. That's what happened there in that situation. I get it now. I can sort of make sense of it in my head. And a lot of it is like, I've heard people with PTSD say that one of their struggles is that they're always, it's like all their memories are now. It's like they're reliving them over and over and over again. And that was very similar with me with schizophrenia. Just when I'd think about something, even though it happened 20 years ago, I'd be thinking of it as happening now in my memory as I think back on it. It was always happening now. And over the last so many years, like not just 2 years, but maybe three, four, five or more, I've started to slowly have some memories of like, oh, that's not happening now. That happened a long time ago. And I'm slowly sort of putting order into my thoughts along a timeline of, oh, these things happened, and that happened 10 years ago, that happened 20 years ago. And and that's one of the symptoms of schizophrenia is disorganized thinking. and now I'm able to have more categories in my head, make more connections between things, and make more order in my mind of just life in general and my life and things I know and think about and knowledge I have. It's being more ordered and put into little categories and putting into the little just being more organized. So yeah, that's so now that I'm able to actually have time to think and reflect on things instead of I can just sit here and say, "Oh, okay, that's over." Like it's kind of like doing a debriefing of, yeah, let's see, let's go over what just happened. In some ways, it was like I was blindsided for 26 years, and what's going on? What's going on? I'm confused. I don't get it, and you know, and I don't want to say that I was totally confused. And I hear other people with schizophrenia say this, that some of their thoughts go along just tickety boo, same as usual. Like, yeah, like I want, back in the 90s, for me, I said, I want to go back and finish my degree. So I did. I made a decision one day, yeah, I want to go do that. And then, I chose courses. And, other things I thought about were like, I want to go for a walk right now, or I want to, other parts of my thought processes were going along just fine. But it's like just this tornado of thoughts coming at you, just chaos of and not being able to think properly in other ways. So yeah, so I've got time to sit back and reflect now and think, wow, what did I just go through? And that's a very good place to be. I don't have answers for everything I've gone through just yet, but as the days go on, I think, a little thought will pop into my head at some point like, oh, okay, yeah, that's making more sense to me now, instead of being confused about it for 26 years. So what I want to do is get to the point where I can say, that was the best thing that ever happened to me, and yeah, I'm struggling with it still a little bit. I've got some, I'll have to think about it in the next so many weeks, months, and so on, and say, yeah, like I've gotten out of that. I never want to go through it again, but I've learned from it and I've grown from it and I've gotten stronger, and I just have to find out where that growth is, that knowledge I've gained, and that that's what has to be molded in the next so many weeks, months, and I don't know how long, but yeah. So that's where I am, and I just wanted to share that.